DBSCG things.
What's up, Yuhp gang? It's your boy Taxon, and welcome back to Yuhp DBSCG Things. And today we'll be diving headfirst into our store championship winning deck profile. This deck is going to be Trunks-geta. But before we get into it, guys, I do want to say if you guys want any custom mats and/or sleeves, absolutely check out Promats, guys. This is the best place to go get your custom card needs. And if you guys do decide to get a mat from there, make sure you use the promo code YUHP to save on your entire order. With that being said, guys, if you guys enjoyed this deck list or my content in general, remember to hit all those buttons for me, like, comment, subscribe, hit that bell so you never miss a video. And with that being said, let's turn it around and check out the list. Alrighty, you guys, here's the deck. Now let's go ahead and go over it. Starting off with the leader card, of course, and of course the appreciation of the winner, Goku. Absolutely stunning card. Auto on attack, you draw a card. Activate main, which is also your alternate awakening. You can absorb a Vegeta from your field if you have 2 or more energy. Draw 1 card and then rip down till 6, flip over. Normal awakening conditions 4 or less, draw 2 cards, flip to the back. Auto, when you attack, you get the choice to draw a card. If you choose not to draw a card, you get to play a 1-drop Trunks Future, Bulma, or Vegeta from your drop area in rest mode. You also get the auto once per turn. When you activate the X-Evolve skill of one of your cards, you draw a card, and then activate battle, place 1 card from underneath this card into the drop area. This card will gain 10,000 power and double strike for the battle. Pretty solid skill, having a double strike leader. Anyways, we're playing yellow, so we're going to dive straight into the extra card package. Starting off, we got 3 copies of Frieza Army Reinforcements. Just a good generic negate. It's free, gets me to my super combos and things like that. Just a great card. 3 is kind of a heavy number for that card. It does end up getting sided down to 2 a lot. Going on to our next card, we have Time Magic, just another free negate. Absolutely great card. Stops a lot of dual attackers and things like that within the meta. Just a great card. Going on to our next card, we have 2 Tyrannical Blows. Just stopping floodgates for the most part. Just a great card, and just another card just to add to our extra card count for Mecha Frieza. Going on to our next card, we have Realm of the Gods Goku Black Kamehameha. This card's great. It is a card that gets sided out often, but it is a great card. It's basically just for aggro, but if you ever catch your opponent mis-sequencing their turn, you'll get a lot of value out of it. Most of the time you'll use this on your opponent's turn. You'll draw a card, get 10,000 power for the duration of the battle, and then rest down 2 cards. So essentially saving you 3 attacks. So not too bad of a card there. Now we go down to our 1 of extra cards. We have 1 copy of Power of the Super Saiyan, 1 copy of Final Flash. Both just really good yellow cards. This is more of a respect piece. You just have to respect it in yellow. If I charge it, of course, just still respect it. Power of Super Saiyan, just it's your secret rare. You're gonna run 1 copy no matter what. And then what I like to call my respect to certain secret rares. This was going to be a card that I just kept in my main deck against things like Golden Frieza, anything blue, so that I didn't have to deal with Beastons, thing like that. Anyways, going into our next card, of course, we talked about our extra cards, so that means we're talking about Mecha Frieza. We have 4 copies of Mecha Frieza. Not too much to say about him. Everyone knows what he does. A lot of people are asking for him to be dealt with on the ban list. We'll see what happens there. Next card, we have 2 copies of Vegito. He's basically Mecha Frieza, but a little bit harder to set up. And next card within this section is 1 copy of Shenron. Card is great, but I only managed to get 1 copy in the mail before the tournament. So I only ended up going with the 1 copy. The 1 copy was fine. I've seen it in most games, and the games that I did see it, most of them I didn't end up using it. And the games that I did use it, of course, got me a lot of value. Fantastic card. Going on to our next card, we have our super combos. 3 copies of Krillin, just generically great super combo. Most yellow decks are going to end up running that. Our 1 copy of Piccolo Gohan, of course. That's our secret rare. That just is generic yellow stuff. If you're going to reverse Trunks, that's more than likely going to be the secret that you're going to see. Now moving on to our 1-drop package, we have 2 separate searchers here. We have 2 copies of Kibito and then 2 copies of Bulma. So essentially, Kibito comes out, he's going to top 5 search 4 or 5 cost or less yellow Saiyan card or Earthling. That will search out most of your package when it comes to the Trunks-geta package, as well as your super combos, which is very nice. And then you also get the activate main. If you're on 2 or more energy, you can remove that card from the game and then play another 1-drop from your deck with its skills negated for the turn. Being skill negated doesn't really matter most of the time, because if you're going to end up using that skill, you're more than likely playing out one of the cards that you're going to have EX Evolve on. Bulma, great card. If you play her, she draws cards. She's also playable off the leader effect. And then as well as when you discard her to search, you top 7 search for a 3 cost or less Trunks or Vegeta card. So very, very solid card. Going into the rest of our 1-drops, this is the generic trunks-geta core. We have 4 copies of Trunks and then 3 copies of Vegeta. You guys should know what these guys do. He grabs him, he grabs him. They both play off the leader. Going into the next card, and a card that I actually ended up meaning a lot, like enjoying a lot, just because a lot of people thought that BMS was going to be useful against this deck, and it actually turns out it's not when I have things like this in my deck. Essentially, this is just another copy of a 1-cost Vegeta. We don't run the Vegeta that evolves on top of it. But the main cool part about this card is that you have this activate main here, a limit 1. You can discard this card from your hand, choose one of your opponent's battle cards, and then you cost a 2 or less, and then switch it to rest mode, which helps you a lot with your removal because, of course, yellow removal all is based off of it being in rest mode. So with that being said, that card tends to deal with turn 1 BMSs for me pretty well. Anyways, we're going into the evolved targets. We have 4 copies of Trunks, and then we have our 4 copies of Vegeta. These are standard in the trunks-geta lists. This is going to be the main source of the draw engine. And then now we dive a little bit heavier into our boss monsters. We have 3 copies of the skill negate and KO Vegeta and Goku. This card is just absolutely nuts. Very, very solid card when it comes to getting around cards non-removal skills like Android 21, the secret rare. Just an absolutely great card. Our next card here is our triple striker. This is our boss monster. You mainly want to like drop that when you have cooler and you're ready to absolutely go ham. Never drop that and go in unless if you're going against the blue deck, because blue has way too much mid-battle removal. 1 copy of Swift Retaliation Cooler, just an absolutely great way to end games, and it's basically how yellow's been able to close out games for absolutely years on end now. Going into Poutine here, this is another card that most yellow decks have kind of cut from their list, but I still tend to run one, just because a lot of the times I like watching my opponent struggle working around this card, and when they finally get a turn where they can play into bigger cards, and they're like, alright, I'm going to proc Trunks, and then I just drop this after they proc Trunks, and I'm like, okay, well now you got to figure out a way to proc this as well before you go into your boss monster. So just a great tech choice there. And then of course our last 2 cards of our bigger boss monsters. We have our 1 copy of Sacred Identity Max Saiyan. This is just removal as well as getting rid of blockers when I'm ready to go for game. And then of course our double striker Majin Buu. So with that being said, guys, that was the main deck. I will make a little bit of room here so that you guys can see the Z deck. Actually, let me just make quick adjustments on the field. Alright, so it looks like the yellow extra card package will stay there. And then I will move into the side deck as well as the Z deck. Starting off with the Z deck here, we got the Z leader. Never went into this card. I never have went into this card. There's been maybe 1 occasion out of all the games that I've ever played with this deck where I actually managed to get this card off and it feel good. It's there, it's useful, but it's something that I almost never use. Now going into the rest of the Z deck, it's all basically 1 of tech pieces. We have our 1 of Self-Awakener. This is to help us get to our 4 or less life, to help us get down to our super combos, or if for some reason we're sitting at 6 after our Awakening, this puts us down to 5 to turn on our Frieza Army reinforcements. Going into other ones, we have things like this here. We have Son Gohan facing new foes. This card essentially does nothing in the deck but serves as a 2-cost 15k dual attack. I like to use this card as a way to get out Piccolo Gohan. He's also only 1 Z energy, so he doesn't take a lot to set up, so very, very solid card there. We have this newer Goku that a lot of people are tending to put into their Z decks when they're playing yellow nowadays. He's essentially a dual attack crit that gets beefier as he attacks. We have our 1 copy of Oolong. This is our power absorber. Most of the time you're going to play him and absorb your opponent's Secret Rare power or your own Secret Rare's power. So most of the time he's just a 1-drop 40k. We have our inactive barrier removal, and then we have our stopping leader card. This card here has got to be my most played Z battle card throughout the entire event. When I use this card is mainly against like the Z leader and Gohan. Like I try to force out the Z leader, and then once they're at the Z leader, I play this so that they cannot attack with it, making that 20k double strike Z leader not as efficient. Going into the side deck, because this was a side deck event, and also this is the list that I ended up taking to Gen Con and placing 48th with. We have 2 copies of Deborah Ritual at Hand. This is just for green. Helped a lot in my Android 16 match. I'm sure you guys will see that on camera. 2 copies of Koitsky. This is for my yellow mirror matches. For my blue matches, came up a lot, and it definitely did well against, and it helped me a lot in my blue trunks matchup. 3 copies of Muay Thai To Skill of a Sage. This card I would just cut this down to 2. This one I would not consider keeping at 3, simply for the fact that anytime there was a matchup where I felt like I needed to side this card in, I only sided in 2 and essentially made the 3rd copy of it in my side deck useless. So just a consideration there. 2 copies of Vegeta's Unison of Fury. This card is another card that I use against Green Gohan a lot. If you can manage to get this out on like your turn 2 or something like that, or not your turn 2, your turn 3 going into their turn 3 and or 4. It definitely stops their big boss monster, and if they haven't gotten their Goku or Gohan out from underneath the field spell yet, they won't be able to attack either, so that's pretty useful. 2 Mikakabara, just to stop big boss monsters when I know what your deck plays. 2 copies of Trunks Cunning. This is literally only for Android 21. 1 extra copy of Tyrannical Blow, just as for more blue matchups. In situations where I'm versing Defender of Friends 17, and then 1 extra copy of Swift Retaliation Cooler for essentially the same thing when I'm versing another extremely floodgate heavy deck. With that being said, guys, that was my deck. To talk about my matchups really quickly, round 1 I did verse Green Gohan. I sided in this, I never needed it. I sided in 2 copies of this, and I sided in 2 copies of this. I seen this card, I seen all my side deck pieces. I never used this. I didn't have to use this, and then I did use this, and it actually basically made my game like a walk, because once I stuck this on turn 2, it made my opponent really struggle in order to not only get rid of it, but to even play battle cards, because if I stick this on like turn 3, that means that if I went first, my opponent's going to be playing on the back foot for 2 turns before they can even attack with things like their 4-cost Goku and or their 4-cost Ape or 4-cost Raditz. Anyways, with that being said, that was that round. I ended up taking that. My second round, I believe, was either against Reboot Trunks or Surge Coup. Either way, Surge Coup essentially was just it basically was just the yellow Majin Vegeta deck, had basically that entire core in it, but it had access to red cards as well, so it was running Almighty Resistance. Matchup went pretty easy. My removal was able to keep up pretty well with the amount of bodies that he's stuck out per turn, so ended up clutching that one out. My next match was, of course, Trunks Reboot. That match was a little bit harder, but the more I grinded it out, the more value I gained, because my hand kept going up throughout the game, and then Trunks kept going down, or Reboot Trunks kept going down. And then the finals match was Android 16. That was a fantastic match. I sided in 2 copies of this. I sided in Koitsky to help it with tokens. And honestly, I think I sided in my Tyrannical Blow in that matchup, just because the leader effect does make the 4-cost 2-cost floodgate, so it does make it so that you can respond to that card there. But I never ended up having to use it. My opponent knows my strategy when it comes to trying to stop his floodgates, so he likes to use the Arrival It In with the Android 16 7-drop effect. Well, that card, when it attacks, it does make you discard, so he ended up playing out the 2-cost Frieza to make me discard twice on the Android 16 attack. And I had both my Deborahs in hand, so I drew 4 on 1 attack and managed to get out of that without being phased. And I ended up grinding that game out and taking that one as well. But with that being said, guys, that was my trunks-geta profile. I hope you guys enjoyed this list. If you guys did, remember to smash all those buttons for me. Like, comment, subscribe, hit that bell so you never miss a video. And with that being said, let's see you guys next time.